my mother was sweet. But you know what? I think I have put in back of my mind what my mother was like. But my cousin first told me, she said, Andrew, she said, you had a pretty mother. Now, I don't even remember that. But I do remember when Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola one first came out, and they gave each household one Pepsi Cola. And they gave my mother a Pepsi Cola. And with her 7 children, she let each one of us sip out of that one Pepsi Cola. I do remember that about her. And I remember the day that she died, when they took her to the hospital. And I remember my grandmother walking the streets, and she was crying. She was wiping her eyes. And my grandfather was walking on the sidewalk. And I said, Paul, I said, what is wrong with my? He said, your man died. And that was a blow to me. And it seemed like everything about her, except that day, I remember that day when she died, just left me. Annie Ruth Reid from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. That is my foundation. Came from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I live in Maryland, Capitol Heights, Maryland. The pastor of that church name was A.C. White, and he only had a few members in the church, which was families, my mother and her sisters and brothers. But my mother's sisters, all of them got saved, and my mama would take us to church. We would go to church, Sunday school, morning worship, go out on the street during the day, come back to service that afternoon at 3 o'clock. And after service, this was every Sunday. But the rules that he had, a lot of people did not want to go by the rules. You had to wear certain kind of clothing. And my mom had 7 children, 3 girls and 3, Lily Mae, Queen, Stella, and myself, 4 girls and 3 boys. But my oldest sister was just Jewel to me. And my oldest sister came to Petersburg when she was young, after my mother died, got of age. And she stayed there for years. She finally went back to Rocky Mount. But my next sister came here, and she was here before my brother came. I remember most just sitting back and listening to whatever they say. But we did not associate with other children. I can remember that, because we dressed different from them. And they used to call us saved, sanctified, and ain't satisfied. That's what they used to pick at us when we was going to school. And I went through all of that. When I realized how sweet he is and was, I was an adult, married with children, and with Sister Kelly's teaching, I went to church every Sunday. We would stay all day long. Sunday school, morning worship. We would eat dinner, go out on the street, and then come back to church. That was every Sunday. But I still was not saved at that time. But then, one Sunday morning, I was sitting in church. Long in that time, older women wore hats. But I never wore the hats. I wore gloves. And I was sitting in the back of the church. And Sister Kelly, she just encouraged us, whether we were saved or unsaved. She was just like a mother to us. And I was on my knees. And God spoke to my heart. And I started taking my gloves off. But I wouldn't tell nobody. And I knew that Sunday he saved me. It was not a struggle, because I was taught young about God. And even when I was not saved, I would not do certain things because I knew that the Lord did not like it. My mother taught us that. I met Sister Kelly when I was very young. She was a little old lady. And I met her through my sister. Another lady, which is my first cousin, met Sister Kelly on the street. She was having service on the street, and she asked her about her salvation. And Sister Kelly told her all about salvation. And that's how I met Sister Kelly through my cousin and my sister, my oldest sister, one of my oldest sisters. First impression was she was one of the nicest, softest, educated, older person that you would want to meet. And she could have had a big job, but she opened up a beauty school, a beauty parlor, and instead of getting a bigger job. But I met her in the church, Sister Kelly, and it was always, she'd always call whoever came to the church. She didn't know whether they were saved or not, but she would always call Sister Reid, Sister so-and-so. Made you feel like you was somebody. Even to my husband, she would call him Brother Reid, and he didn't get saved until 2001. Everybody was just nice and sweet. She just felt like made you act like you were saved, whether you wanted to or not. This was my impression of Sister Kelly. Her teaching is just as it is today. It's the same thing. Saved, sanctified, and filled by it. No deviation. And she would tell us what's right and what's wrong. And she told us, she said, if you all come to church and stay saved, she said, your husband will be at your feet. Those were her words. You need to just think about keeping your hand in the Lord's hand. That's the only thing that I can say. Don't deviate backwards or forward, but just stay straight with the Lord. God is our strength, our very helper in trouble. I think that's the way it goes. And He won't move if you just hold fast onto His hand, because His hand is holy hand. Just hold on to that. And that's 46 Psalm.